made it happen and showed the Ramban there was something that the Ramban had to learn. The Ramban was then initiated into a line of masters in his later years, before he came to Eretz Yisrael. And because of that, what he writes is considered more authoritative than Rambam. Rambam was the greatest mind to ever live, but he did not receive the tradition that Ramban received. And therefore, in all disputes between them, we go according to Ramban. One of the famous ones is about what Olam Haba is going to be like. The Rambam, with an M at the end, wrote that Olam Haba, the world to come, is where souls go when we pass away. It exists now. It's the afterlife. He identifies the afterlife, the soul world, with what's called Olam Haba. And that what will be different at the resurrection is that the souls will come back into physical bodies for a short while, and then those bodies will, again, we will leave those bodies and we will re-enter Olam Haba. You may not understand what I just said, but there's a specific thing here that he holds. Ramban, according to his teachers, he received the tradition that there's two different things. One is called Olam Haba, which is the 7th millennium, and that's the world that will be revealed to us when this world comes to an end, and we're lifted up and elevated. In the meantime, there's something called Olam HaNeshamot, the world of the souls. And there's no body there, no physical body of any kind. And what the Rambam with an M says that Olam Haba is Olam HaNeshamot is he believes that in Olam Haba there'll be no body. The Ramban's tradition, don't get confused, is that when we'll come down and the souls will come back down in the resurrection, the resurrected bodies will be light bodies. As the Ramchal later on, going in the tradition of the Ramban, as the Ramchal writes, it'll be an immediate irradiation of the soul into the body. It won't be in stages. Immediately, the soul will enter the old body and revive it and irradiate it. It'll be a shining body. There's a lot to say about it, but just to know that this is very amazing, and that those bodies we will live in forever and ever. They won't die. We won't go up without those bodies. Now, in the end, the Ramban himself says that really the dispute between myself and the master, the Rambam, is really just linguistic. What he holds with there'll be no more bodies, it's really true, because what the light bodies that we will exist in that time will not be body as we know body now. It'll be a light body. And so therefore, he had the right idea. He just didn't have the right terminology. And therefore, the Ramban therefore clarifies, we will live eternally in the bodies that we come back in, but that body will constantly elevate, and always be a body relative to the soul, but it'll be nothing of what we know called body. It'll be a higher energy form. And even whatever you got from that, it's an example of one of those beautiful things that our rabbis argued about. It's not an argument. It's that two ideas, two positions come together, and a greater truth is revealed always. That's what true machloket is about. Machloket is the word met chelek. A part is dead. When two parts come together, they complement each other, then there's life. So when they disputed with each other, it was in order to bring out a greater truth that was the sum total and greater than the sum total of the two of them. Not, God forbid, to what's called the kanter, to beat the other guy. There was no one-upmanship. It was all in order to get to the higher truth. So, I'll drink some tea and then we'll see what the Ramban says about it. He writes a book, the Ramban writes a book called Igeret HaKodesh, the Holy Letter.
Who was the Ramban's teacher?
Rabbi Yisrael of Gerona, of Spain. Rabbi Yisrael was a student of Rabbi Yitzhak the Blind. Rabbi Yitzhak the Blind was a student and the son of Rabbi Abraham ben David. it's called the line of Ruach HaKodesh. Later on in Etz Chaim, the Ari teaches us that this is a bona fide line of Ruach HaKodesh. They didn't just have external knowledge. They had Eliyahu Navi. So it's a whole beautiful teaching. I try and bring some of it in my book, The Well of Living Waters.
Why do we follow the Ramban?
Well, we love both of them. But in certain places they disagree. And if it has any halachic, like down on the ground difference, so as I've been told by my teachers, we go by the Ramban. But we always, with incredible respect for Maimonides, for Ramban. There's nobody like him. It says from Moshe to Moshe there was nobody like Moshe. From Moshe Rabbeinu to Moshe ben Maimon, Rambam, there was nobody like Moshe.
It was different.
Huh?
It was different. Rambam was very, very worldly position.
All the rabbis in those days were worldly.
Oh, wow.
There was no contradiction.
You have to say something.
The great teachers of the Talmud also were all.
She said something very interesting. Ramban is also Moshe.
Yes. They seemed sometimes a little tough on each other, but really they had awesome respect for each other. And when one lived after the Rambam lived at least 50 years before. But anyway, let's see what he says. He's writing a book called Kabbalah of Kodesh, which is everything to do with marital relations, including what to eat, what to think of, all kinds of things like that. The chapter that we're drawing from, if you see footnote 279 at the bottom of the page, Igerat HaKodesh Ramban, chapter 5, the Kavanat HaChibur, the intention that one should have when one is together with one's spouse. And it's quoted verbatim in another amazing book later on, many years later, by Rabbi Chaim Vital in his Shari Kedusha. And let's see, Ramban's meditation. The following meditation is from the great master Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman, known by the acrostic as name Ramban. He brings this meditation to the 5th chapter of his Igerat HaKodesh, in which he brings the ancient wisdom of the Torah to bear on all aspects of marital relations. This particular chapter is devoted to the importance of maintaining pure intention and thought during intercourse. At one point he writes, I will now transmit a great gift of understanding to you regarding the power of thought. I bring here the original text in Hebrew with a basic translation. Following this, I expand on this incredible wealth of meaning embedded in there in every carefully chosen word that he wrote. So you can read the English for a second. And then I want to give you a chance to look at the English, the first paragraph. Then we'll do the Hebrew. I will not look at the English basically until I'm ready. But you do it. You do definitely. See if you get something. Or even I'll look at it too. But we're going to read the English, the Hebrew out loud. And again, the reason to do this is because he's going to show us how to connect to the upper root of our soul, so that we can come down and bring more power into our lives, to live Eretz Yisrael life.
Was this ever translated into English before this?
Yeah, there is actually a book called The Holy Letter.
Really?
By a guy named Seymour something, but it wasn't a very good translation. So what I do with the translation is I try and milk it for all it has. I'm not satisfied with just a bunch of words. I'm not into hiding things. I'm into revealing.
How much of it did you translate?
Just the meditation itself. The stuff before and after the chapter I did. So, you should know. Hima'ayan hamayim. There's a pool. There's a water spring. A pool of water, a water fountain. Biyotot nimshach mimakom gavoa, the makom namuch. Being that it flows from a very high exalted place.